What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today we are breaking down week 24 of fantasy hockey, and for some of you this is your first playoff week, so the adds you make are going to be extremely important. For others this could be your second playoff week. Depends how your league has the playoff set up, but yeah, we have a lot of things to talk about today. The teams with the best and worst schedules, and also the streamers that are going to help you maximize your games for this week. So without further ado, let's dive right into it. To start things off, let's talk about the teams with the most games and off nights this week. I want to stress how important off nights are for this week because Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday are extremely heavy. You're going to have to bench players on these nights, so the more off nights you have, the better. With that being said, the best schedules for off nights this week are the players on the Buffalo Sabres and the Vancouver Canucks. The Sabres and the Canucks are the only two teams with 2 off nights this week. Every other team has less than 2 off nights, so having players on these teams is going to help you out quite a bit. We also have 2 teams that have 4 games and 1 off night. These teams being the Vegas Golden Knights and the Anaheim Ducks. They do not have the best opponent goals against average, and in general, because they play Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, it's not like you're going to maximize your games too much by picking up players from these teams. So I wouldn't necessarily suggest it, but I will be talking about Vegas later on in terms of the streamers because they play Monday and Tuesday. So if you have a bye week like I do in my leagues going into this upcoming week, like I've been adding Vegas players to maximize my games, get those 2 games on Monday and Tuesday, and then I'm going to drop them Wednesday. We also have 4 teams that have 3 games and 1 off night. It's not the best, guys, but having as many off nights as you can is going to help. So if you have players on the Blues, the Senators, the Bruins, and the Kings, that will help you as well. Moving on, we have the teams with the least amount of games this week. There are 4 teams that only play twice this week, which is not ideal. These teams are the Islanders, the Minnesota Wild, the Tampa Bay Lightning, and the New Jersey Devils. At least with the Lightning and the Devils, they do have 1 off night, so it's not terrible. But with the Islanders and the Wild, that sucks, right? You're going to have to sit like 2 or 3 people on these heavy nights on Thursday and Saturday. So yeah, having a bunch of players from these teams is not going to help you, especially the Islanders because they have one of the worst opponent goals against average this week. And yeah, I mean, that's why I talked about in that playoff video I did a couple of weeks ago, you know, a player like Brock Nelson, even though he's been so good, it's going to be tough to roster him this week because it's just not going to be good for maximizing your game. So if you guys want to add players from teams that have good schedules, in the previous slide that I talked about, it might be ideal to drop some players on these teams. There's also a bunch of teams with 3 games and 0 off nights. I'm not going to read this off. You can see on the slide, but again, you could potentially drop some players from these teams with 3 games and 0 off nights for a player on the Canucks or the Sabres. You're going to gain 2 games from doing this. It's entirely your call, but if you want to maximize your games, you're going to have to look at dropping some players from these teams. Moving on, we have the teams with the easiest opponent record this week. These teams are playing teams that generally lose, so the goalies on these teams could do well, the players as well. And we have the Minnesota Wild, the St. Louis Blues, the Seattle Kraken, the Philadelphia Flyers, the Columbus Blue Jackets, the Calgary Flames, and the Dallas Stars. On the flip side, we have the teams with the hardest opponent record. These teams have a tough schedule this week in terms of their opponents, so their goalies might struggle and the players as well. We have the Montreal Canadiens, the New York Islanders, the Red Wings, the Washington Capitals, the Los Angeles Kings, the Boston Bruins, and the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now we have the teams with the highest opponent goals against average, so these teams are playing teams that generally let in a lot of goals. If you have a lot of players on these teams, it could be beneficial for you this week. The Minnesota Wild, the Seattle Kraken, the St. Louis Blues, the Buffalo Sabres, the Chicago Blackhawks, the Carolina Hurricanes, and the Pittsburgh Penguins. On the flip side, we have the teams with the lowest opponent goals against average, so these teams play teams that generally do not let in a lot of goals. The players on these teams could struggle this week. The Anaheim Ducks, the Red Wings, the New York Islanders, the Edmonton Oilers, the Los Angeles Kings, the Montreal Canadiens, and the Vegas Golden Knights. Now is the part of the video where I give you guys the streamers to help you maximize your games. Like I said earlier on, with Vegas, 4 games and 1 off night, pretty solid, not the best opponent goals against average. However, the big thing with Vegas is that they have a back-to-back on Monday and Tuesday. If you want to pick them up, you get those 2 games. You can make an ad this week if you have an ad left, or if you have a bye, and then you can drop them Wednesday. So that could really help you maximize your games. Obviously, we have the top-heavy guys that are not going to be available: Jack Eichel, Jonathan Marchessault, etc. But in terms of some players that could be on your waiver wire, we have Ivan Barbashev, first line power play. William Karlsson, he's been solid all year. Chandler Stevenson, he's been playing pretty good lately. Brayden McNabb, great peripherals. Noah Hannafin, not the best ice time, but he puts up good peripherals. I could see him producing this week. Anthony Mantha, not the best ice time. Nicholas Roy moved down to the 4th line. We'll see how it changes, but you know, he was on the 2nd line before that. If he's on the 4th line, maybe not the best option, but see how that develops. And then we got Keegan Colasar, puts up really good peripherals, especially hits, so he could be an option in a category league or a banners league. Now at the bottom here, we have some other deep league options. If you're like in an 18-team league, 20-team league, then maybe these guys could be viable. Cotter, Hudden, Haig, Doroveyev, Amadio, and Carrier. Lastly, let's talk about the players on teams with 3 games and 2 off nights this week. Like I told you earlier, the Buffalo Sabres and the Vancouver Canucks are the only teams with 2 off nights this week, so the players are definitely going to be important. Obviously, we have a bunch of options on this list. With the Sabres, you have Alex Tuch, who's always been solid, Dylan Cousins, who's getting really good ice time. I think he's a great pickup. JJ Peterka, currently on the 1st line and the 1st line power play, extremely underrated, low roster percentage. We have Jeff Skinner, not the best ice time, but he still finds a way to produce sometimes. We got Bowen Byram and Owen Power, both not on the 1st line power play right now. Byram was on the 1st line power play, but they took him off. We'll see if that changes, but they both put up pretty good peripherals and they've been producing as well. So solid options. Jordan Greenway, he's getting top 6 minutes and he's on the 1st line power play. Not a bad option at all. Zach Benson. And then we got some deeper league options here. Connor Clifton, Zemgus Gergensons, not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Then we got Henry Jokiharju, Victor Olofsson, and Peyton Krebs. And then in terms of the Canucks players, we have some interesting options here. Philip Hronek, he's around 82% rostered on Yahoo, so probably not available in most of your leagues, but in a more shallow league, he could be available. We got Suter, who is currently on the 1st line power play. They've kind of been mixing things up. They had Garland on the 1st line power play last week. Lindholm was on there, but they took him off. He's struggling, and apparently he is battling through an injury. I picked up Lindholm about a week ago for this week because of their off-night schedule, and I'm hoping he's okay, but keep that in mind, guys. Elias Lindholm, like I just said, who is currently on the 3rd line and the 2nd line power play. Don't love it, but his ice time is still good. Garland and Hoglander are both on the 1st line right now. They put up good peripherals as well, so I think both of them are pretty good options. And then we got Zadorov. He just scored 2 goals, but he puts up monster peripherals. Solid option. Then we got some deeper league options here. Only if you're in a league with like 18 teams or more, maybe 16 teams or more. Sam Lafferty, Ilya Mikheyev, Ian Cole, Teddy Bluger, Vasily Podkolzin, and Carson Soucy. All right, guys, that's the end of the video. Make sure you hit that like button if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I will catch you in the next one. Good luck in your playoffs.